What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me once again today. Trying to do a little bit more service work on the Gallardos. I just kind of sort of work my way through all the different things, one little project at a time. I noticed when I was searching online, obviously this is all new to me, but there are no videos that I can find out there, very little information on the internet about the cabin air filters in these early Gallardos. There's a very specific reason for that. So I am going to make an attempt today to do a video on that. Maybe it's going to be a feeble attempt. I don't know. We'll see how this turns out because I haven't done it before myself. It looks like a total PITA. So anyway, this is what we're going to start with. These are the generic cabin air filters that I picked up. There's several part numbers that cross-reference for these things. So I got nice little China quality stuff, but they should do the job just fine for what I've got going here. So you got two of them in there, one stacked on top of the other, best I can tell. Something similar to this. Make sure we follow get the airflow in the right direction when we get them in there. Hopefully I don't screw that up in my haste. Anyway, part of the reason there's not much information on these things is they are absolutely buried as far as I can tell. Luckily I'm a small guy. Hopefully I can contort my way in there and get these things replaced. So the question is whether or not I can even fit a camera with a light up in there as I'm trying to work. So this video might be a total and complete flop. We'll see. Most information I've seen on there, like I said, has talked about what a terrible pain these things are to do. Somebody even said, I didn't contact the dealership myself, but somebody on there had even quoted that the dealership charged like $230 to replace these things. I think I got the filters for like 22 bucks or something like that. So if you've never gotten under here before, they're going to be down here on the passenger side in the footwell. Pull the corners back here. On this, we're going to have to pull these out. These aren't screws, they're just kind of a quarter turn. I might even be able to get them with my finger. They got a little spring-loaded thing. You got a couple of them here. So we'll pull this panel out of the way real quick. Then we're going to have to try and get under here and pull all that out of the way. And you can't even see it. There's a little door in the very back there. In the center of all that, we're gonna have to try and pop loose and finagle these things all out of there while holding all this menagerie out of the way. So I don't know, let's see how this goes. Just kind of a spring loaded pop on out of there. So we're able to pull that panel out of the way. You can kind of see the back side of those clips there, hopefully. All right, guys, unfortunately I see absolutely no way to get under here with a wrench and undo this on video. So I'll try and show you guys as best I can. See if you can see this little door right back here. Kind of hinges from the bottom and clips right up top in here. God, I don't know if that's picking up at all. Pop that loose, and that's where your filters are going to be. So as best I can tell, there's two little nuts up on top of here on each side of that. I'm going to try and pull those loose, and as far as I can tell, that might give me room to maneuver this panel out of the way a little bit to get my hand back there just a little bit further. Let's see how that works out. You can almost get, oh, so tight, a finger back there. Oh, and actually pop that little door right off. I got that out of there. See, it's probably down on the bottom. Probably down on the bottom here. Gonna hinge that out, and that top sticks right up there in another plastic groove. So let me see if I can get all this menagerie out of the way so I can finagle those filters in and out of there. So here's the best tool of choice I've come up with for those little nuts. I got a tiny little 1/4-inch ratchet, an extension, and an 8mm socket. This seems to fit up in there the best. I'm gonna go ahead and get those nuts out of the way and see what kind of access that gives me. Okay, so now that we got those two little nuts out of there, Yeah, that looks like that's gonna pull the fuse block out of the way there. Gives me that much more room to finagle up in there, as well as pull this out of the way. Hopefully that will give me what I need. Unfortunately, this bracket still looks like it's gonna put up a bit of a fight for me. We shall see. All right, guys, sorry, like I said, it's very difficult to work up in here with the camera, so I've just kind of pulled everything off of this bracket. Now that I got those nuts out of the way, I can move and finagle things around as needed. You can see I was able to reach up here with my fingers, and you start to pull that filter out a little bit. I may now need to remove, looks like there's four nuts back there holding this bracket on. I think I'm going to try and pull that out of the way. We'll see how that goes. And that just might allow me clear access to get those filters in and out of there. All right, so here we get that bracket out of the way. Again, the same socket, ratchet, and extension setup worked. Again, 8mm nuts, so there's a total of 6 8mm nuts I've removed so far. And now that we got that out of the way, I can, it looks like a jumbled mess here. Sorry about all the camera wiggling, this is a pain. I can finagle all this stuff out of the way. Once I do that, I've got nice clear access there to get those filters in and out. So I'm gonna start working those things out first, and we'll see how bad they are. I have a feeling these have never been changed in this car. Filter number 2, sweet success. After all that stuff's out of the way, they're really not that difficult to manage in and out of there. As soon as I pulled that bottom one out, the top one slid right down. Some were saying they kind of get hung up and tangled up there. You gotta jiggle them down a little bit, but mine just fell right down. So let's see what they look like. So hard to say. Maybe these have been replaced before. I don't really know. You can tell. So I didn't do this. This is exactly the way they came out. Somebody really must have been fighting and bending these things to get them in there. So this was the bottom filter here. This was the top filter. They're definitely dirty. They're not quite as terrible as I thought they might be, but yeah. So actually see, for those that want to know, there's your Audi part number right there. So anyway, now that they're out, we're going to go ahead and try and wrestle the new clean filters in. I can see this being a little bit of a pain to hold the top one up while I get the bottom one in there. Obviously I have zero doubts I'm not going to be able to film that part at all, but yeah, I'll get them wrestled in there and kind of let you guys know what a tedious pain it is. So just got the new filters back in, and surprising update, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. The first top filter goes in just fine. I was able to reach up in there and just kind of push it up in there, and it stayed up in the top there. So it's wanted to slip down just a tad, but I really wasn't fighting it much. But I see now why this is all wrinkled up the way it is. The pressure of just this light filter on the bottom one as you're trying to ease it in is just enough to make this thing want to start bowing up on you. You have to bend it slightly, kind of like this, to get it in there. The key with these and just with everything on this car is absolute patience. I was able to just kind of work it top and bottom just a little bit at a time all the way in there, and I was able to get that bottom filter in just fine without wrinkling it and maiming it all up quite like this. So now I can get under there and I'll try to get that little door back on there that I was able to pop loose with my finger, and then we can just start putting the fuse panel and everything back into place. So like I said, this is tight. I can't even see what I'm filming, so hopefully this turns out all right. I'll stick this little door back up in there, line the top up, little slot right there in the top, and then we'll just kind of, Lord willing, snap that bottom. You hear it snap right into place. So that's a little cover right there. Now I can put the little 4 8mm nuts back on, get this bracket on here, and we can just start stacking the fuse panel and everything right back up on here. If you guys are able to see the 4 little stubs there, just line it back up on there, and then get my fat little hand back there and get these all finger started. too bad. Get all these on, we'll get them snugged up. Definitely a tedious job. If you're a big guy, this could be incredibly difficult. Luckily, I'm a small enough guy. You definitely have to contort yourself in some very unnatural ways. Get my wife to give me a back rub later or something after this, soak in the hot tub. But I don't know, this is my first time, and I'd say I got this done in maybe half hour, 45 minutes. Not that I timed it, but it wasn't quite as bad as some of the online forums had made it out to be. Definitely be frustrated if I paid somebody $230 to do this. To me, that's complete overkill. But let me teach your own. You can't get to it, you can't fit, I get it. But I'm balling on a budget, so whether I want to or not, I have to fight my way through everything. And once that bracket's in place, just a matter of stacking all this back up right on those little studs, just the way it came off. Like so. And the fuse panel, last but not least. And then we'll get those two last 8mm in place. And then I can get out and stretch for a second. Home stretch, it's smooth sailing from here on out. Just got those last two nuts up there tight. Like I said, you got everything stacked back in there. Now we just got to get this panel back on and we can call this job complete. So there we have it, guys. Got a little panel back into place, get the floor mat back in there, and we are officially done. Get our fancy floor mat snap back into place here. Just like so. And this job's officially complete. So thanks for joining me, you guys. I really hope somebody finds this thing useful. Like I said, I was really struggling. This isn't a job I've ever tackled before, and I would say it wasn't quite as difficult as the internet forums made it out to be. Not that it isn't tedious and difficult to finagle and get into and contort to some wonky angles for sure, but it's a doable task if you want to save yourself some money for sure. Don't psych yourself out like I did. I've been putting this off for quite a while simply based off of what I read, because I just didn't want to spend my time to deal with the headache, but it wasn't quite that bad. So thanks again for watching, you guys. If you find this useful, hit that like button for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more automotive content. It helps me out. I greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.